All right, welcome back in. Just another football show. Are you saving them?
I don't know.
You don't know? Okay, I don't know. Like
Sometimes
some,
they come,
they're
they
I just, I don't know.
Different here and there.
Talking a little Pats and Bills, little division rivalry. Got two really good fans on. I'm excited for this one. You know, not that I'm not excited for all of them. Enjoy talking to the fans. It's always fun getting a perspective.
But with these two in particular, it's easy for us.
But, Matt's name is always circled on the calendar when we get a chance to talk to him, and I'll fangirl out a little bit, getting to talk to old digital champion DC over there with the Pats. So it's fun. Sometimes you really, really enjoy doing dumb shit like this. The fact that we just get to hang out in a basement and talk football with people that – shoot your shot and see if they want to talk to you.
Yeah,
and here we are.
Works out.
And then you make really good friends as well with Matt. Matt's a great guy and a great listen. So
a lot of fun.
Yeah, a lot of fun. So I think we're gonna hit up DC first. He's got the kids and the busy schedule, so working around him, and then we'll get Matt because we always got to bank a little extra time for Matt. I'm sure someone's looking at the runtime of this and going, "What the fuck?
What happened to this one? Why is this one
like
it's worth it?"
Matt's here. That's why. So let's just I don't want to get too long on this open. Let's just throw it to DC and get this one going. All right, so now we're lucky enough. I still feel, excited. It's the little things when you did talk to people that you actually watch regularly. It's really cool. I know I gushed the last time we talked, but we get to have DC Digital Champion back on, doing great things out on YouTube right now. Make sure you're checking him out. We'll put the links out there in the notes. DC, man, your Patriots made the playoffs. I don't know if that's a surprise to you or not. I guess maybe that's the first question. How's it going? Is the second one.
Good. I appreciate you having me back, fellas. They did. They kind of limped into the playoffs, I guess would be a better way of putting it.
It was kind of back and forth. I mean, if we were talking a month ago, this was a Super Bowl bound team that was on the way, and everyone was talking about how it's the Belichick-Brady rematch, and that's what everybody was predicting as far as the Super Bowl goes. But yeah, this team we had a good year without the New England Patriots in the playoffs. I'm just going to lay that out there now. It's been 2 decades of New England dominance, so fans were sort of enjoying it. But the moment they drafted Mac Jones and he puts that ball cap on and walks out on the stage, I'm at home and I go, shit. Just the swagger that kid brought to it. So have you been surprised at all about Mac's performance throughout the season, or is this sort of what you expected when they drafted him?
I think that I don't know. It's been an up and down year. It's been a weird year. No matter how good they are, you just get used to watching the same guy take snaps for over 20 years. It's kind of hard to watch somebody else take the reins. But I was a little I don't know, when they drafted Mac in the 15th spot, I was I know the style of football that Bill plays, and they played it all year, but I wanted a little bit more flash. So I thought that Mac, given the way that he kind of worked out, I thought that he was clearly a good pick at 15. But I don't know, this team this year, I think they probably play a little bit above expectations. They've lost ball games that they should have won, and they've probably won a couple that they shouldn't have. I don't know. It's been the way this team is built. I know we were talking about a month ago, everybody was kind of like New England, had a chance to kind of grab the 1 seed and let it slip. And that really happened at the Indy game whenever all hell broke loose up there. But I don't know. The way this team is built, and I don't think that it's necessarily to Mac. I think it's just the way that Bill plays the game. I think you did the same thing with Tom. It's just before you had Tom Brady, and now you've got, obviously not. But he wants to play a real, I don't know how to put it. It's a real cut and dry kind of style of football where they're not. New England's not like Green Bay or Kansas City or Buffalo that can go off script, and really still get something done. They have a script laid out, and as we've seen, especially the last 6 weeks, you get off for that a little bit. This team just really can't come back and win. They're just not built to do that. They're built to, slow the game down, not make any mistakes, run the football, play really good defense, and kind of let Mac do his thing. Now whether anybody wants to argue about what his thing is, I guess that's kind of what we're also trying to figure out.
So
I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm a little indifferent at this point, a little bit. I'm just kind of.
Well, you got some time with the kids, so you got time to feel it out. I mean, making the playoffs has got to be good. I got to ask though, that Sunday night game, one of the few teams that actually had, reason to be interested in that Sunday night affair, the Chargers Raiders game. Did you feel some kind of way? Did you find yourself at overtime of that game going, man, I kind of want it to go this way because it affects who we play?
Yeah, I think that the way they play this year, especially like Buffalo, if you were gonna, pick one, if you're gonna pick Buffalo or Cincinnati, I was wanting Buffalo. Now that's probably a damned if you do, damned if you don't scenario
Fair.
there, but I feel like Cincinnati is one of the hottest teams in the NFL right now,
That's
and
fair.
so I just didn't really want to. I didn't really want to deal with Jamar Chase and Burrow at this moment.
No one's gonna blame you for that.
I just thought that it's a double-edged sword, I guess you'd say. Like I said before, but I think that they've played Buffalo, so you've got tape. You play Josh Allen twice a year, so there's a lot more there, as opposed to the Bengals will be brand new, especially this Cincinnati team this year would be completely brand new. So I don't know. I've had buddies go, no, Bill, the first time he faces a quarterback, normally it's a better chance. I'm like, this is just the playoffs are a different animal, so I don't really know about that.
Yeah, it's one of those sort of you want to dance with the devil, as opposed to the one that you don't.
So, yeah, he might have talked me out of it. I kind of felt the other way. I'm not a Patriots fan, but if I were, I don't know. I just think that maybe I line up with the guys that you talked to. I think Belichick could have thrown some weird looks out there and maybe shut Chase down a little bit. That's what he does, right? But at least it's what we hear he does. Takes away the weapon. But I don't know. Jamie, did you have a thing there?
No, you got me off guard as I was trying to get a drink
buddy.
there. I need a little caffeine to get going. But yeah, you talk about two teams that have played each other twice a year. They split.
One doesn't count. I think we just have to take that one game and throw it out the
The
window.
weird thing about that game, though, is
that doesn't really
it
count.
might be similar conditions this weekend.
I mean, we're talking
forecast
cold.
Is talking cold, wind, and snow again. And you saw a game where how many times did Mac Jones throw the football? 3 times?
3 times.
And they just dominated that game. I'm not expecting that exact same performance.
I have a hot take if y'all are ready.
Always ready for a hot take.
Yes.
I've been a long fan, fan for a long time. Like I said last time, well over 20 years, like before Brady got here, and or got there. I'm in Alabama, but if I were to tell you that I am still not sold on Bill Belichick, what would you say?
Here's the thing. It's funny because you say this because it was how many weeks ago, Jam? Jam was trying to put Belichick on the hot seat
I
right
wasn't
before the
putting him
Patriots
on a
started
hot
winning.
That's where I was going.
He
with it.
really was
I'm
like,
being point
here's the
blank.
thing, though, guys. Do we really is there a world that he ends and we just basically shut him down and told
And
him
then
he
they
was
won
crazy?
like 6 in a row.
And then they won. They did. They went on that winning. They got him looking hot again. But so I guess the answer to your question is no, not crazy surprised. Little. It's a take.
Well, and the reason I say that, like, and this is kind of the feeling with that fan base for a good bit, that if he were to go up there, and let's say they go to Buffalo Saturday night, and I hope this doesn't happen because I don't really want to deal with Twitter, but if they go up there and let's say they get beat, I don't know, let's say it's 38-10, let's say it's a pretty handled playoff game by Buffalo. And New England still can't really stop the run real well. Diggs has, 140, 145 yards. Are we still hanging our hat on, a defensive genius coach? Because here's my question. Here's where I get by with it. That he drafted Mack at 15, and we go out and we get, New England goes out and gets Nelson Aguilar. They go out and get Kendrick Bourne, which Kendrick Bourne's done really well this year. I think he had like nearly 800 or 900 yards receiving. And Myers has been a good receiver. I thought that when they moved him, in the slot, they kind of moved him outside a little bit. Usually when he's outside though, it's some kind of like screen or something like that. But I'm wondering, like, is Bill so stubborn that he's not going to realize that his style of football without the greatest quarterback of all time or whatever is just not a winning formula in this NFL. And I think that's, as a fan, that's my biggest fear. Because I mean, everybody hangs their hat right on this win streak that New England went on in the middle of the year, and I was really big on it. Obviously, I mean, I went nuts. But they beat They beat. I keep wanting to call San Diego. My other buddies would kill me, but they beat the Chargers, and that was a good game. The defense showed up. I felt like in that game, Mac had a decent game there. So then they beat Carolina, who we know what Carolina is, right? They beat the Browns. Again, there's the Browns. You beat the Falcons. You beat Tennessee, who was without how many players? At home, you play them at Gillette. You beat them 36-13. You beat them very sounded, but they're without. I mean, hell, are probably 30% of their roster. And then you beat Buffalo in what was probably the ugliest game that I've ever witnessed in my 38 years on this planet. And then you get a bye week, and then you go to Indy and you get your ass kicked. Then you get your ass kicked by Buffalo again at home, and then you beat the Jacksonville Jaguars, who I still haven't figured out what's going on there. And then you get beat again by Miami.
There's a lot.
So did they do what they needed to do in that little part of the schedule? Yes, but I mean, is it, now that, and I was on it too. I mean, if you go back and look at my, tweets, I mean, when we beat Buffalo 14-10, I was like, all right, this feels good. We're at the top of the division. And in the back of your head, even as a fan, you're still kind of like, we beat who we needed to beat, but they weren't great. And then when we got, again to that little section, meat of the schedule, we got our ass kicked again. So, I don't know. You're doing, Mac's young. Mac's a rookie, but there's still a lot of questions outside of Mac. Even with, and I tweet this all the time, I'm like, defensive genius Bill Belichick that still can't stop the run. He hasn't been able to stop the run. I don't know when the last time this team could stop the run. Probably when Vince Wilfork was there.
Yeah, on the plus side, Buffalo doesn't do that. But I mean, other than Josh Allen, when they let him do it, I don't know if that's what the game plan is or whatever, but they've struggled running the ball outside of Josh Allen, which is a large aside. But as far as at the running back position, they've struggled with that for the better part of the season.
Well, they got to pick one, and that's the problem. They can't pick one.
They're going to draft one is what's going to happen.
Yeah, and they drafted. I thought that, I will say, he did kind of, this year, that was the thing going into this year, was like, oh, Bill hadn't been able to draft. I thought as it turned out, like, they had several really good draft picks. Max, obviously, which I could talk a little bit about Mac, but I thought Barmore, who they ended up taking, kind of turned out to be really, really good. He kind of escaped injury last week. I thought he really blew his knee up, but as it turns out, everything was clean on the MRI. But I don't know. It's just such a weird team to me that they, once again, they got swept by Miami. I don't know how, which even happened with Brady there, by the way. So I don't know what it is with Bill in Miami.
He can't play in the heat, I guess.
But they got beat by, Dallas in overtime by 6, at home. That was, that's a really good team. They got beat by Tampa Bay by 2. And this was when Tampa Bay, I think they were without Gronk that game, but they still had a lot of weapons. This, that was well before Godwin got hurt. But I don't know. I think that the script that he lays out as a coach, my worry is, is that script. If you just, in the NFL nowadays, you just kind of have to be able to go by the fly. You've really got to be able to, we see it with Kansas City all the time. You see it with Buffalo. Aaron Rodgers has been doing it for a long time. I just don't think that, this New England team obviously can't. Like, again, in Miami last week, they got down 14, and actually they got down 17-0. And, you just can't. Mac can get up, they can get down the field and score, but, we're going on 7-8 minute drives, to score.
Yeah, that's the problem, with that sort of style of football, and it's sort of interesting to hear a New England Patriot diehard sort of come out here and maybe question the mystique of Bill Belichick. He does seem to, on the surface, be that sort of this is how I want to do things, and this is how we are going to do things, and doesn't necessarily deviate from that plan. So kind of like you said, I think the key here is to come out and obviously they're going to want to run the ball with Damian Harris, who's had a great season. They're going to want to control the time of possession, like you said, 7-8 minute drives, and then not allow Buffalo to get out on top. But once Buffalo, if they can get out on top, it might be a little rough sled in trying to get even with them.
Yeah, and that's what they did last time. I felt like the last game at Gillette, game 2, because I'm kind of with y'all. Game 1 is what it is, but game 2, New England tied it up 7-7, and then they couldn't get a stop, and I can't remember. I think Buffalo got out to maybe a 10-point lead, and New England kind of fought back into it. The one thing though that's kind of, I don't know, as a coach, Andy Reid, for instance, always hangs his hat. He's an offensive-minded guy. So if they need to score points, it's on him if they can. My thing with Bill that I've noticed in the last couple of weeks, and I could point out probably 3 games off the rip, where his defense has needed to get a stop, where his offense has turned it on, and they've needed to get hey, give me the ball, Max on the sideline, give me the ball back one more time, and I'm going to win the game, and they just can't do it. And so, I'm like, if you're a defensive genius, that's the frustrating part as a fan. They did it at Indy. They stacked the box, and Jonathan Taylor made 2 guys miss, and took it to the house, sealed that game.
Made a lot of guys miss.
Miami, 2, I think it was like 2, it was just he just a drop back, broke through, got the first down, effectively ended that game too. And then Dallas in overtime, he doesn't go for it at midfield. And
that was a head scratcher.
Back to Dallas.
I do remember that now that you say that. That was a head scratcher.
And he's made a lot. There's a lot of, you can run that style of football. I'm not saying that style of football doesn't work, because it does, but you have to have, you got to have a lot of moving pieces line up to run it like that. Everybody's got to be on the same page, and it helps. As eye roll as it is, it helps to have Brady, because when you've got Brady's going to make Nelson Aguilar be a lot better than Nelson Aguilar is. That's going to, I don't care what anybody says, that's going to end up going down as a free agent, whatever. We'll see what Nelson does in Buffalo, but there's a lot of uncharacteristic mistakes, especially this year. They did it last week in Miami. You've always been it's always one of those things where Bill's defenses have been real tight-lipped. They don't shoot themselves in the foot. Special teams has been locked down, and this year special teams has been for lack of a better word, a shit show. Last week they had on 4th and 1, Lawrence Guy lines up in illegal formation, gives them an automatic first down, keeps the drive alive for Miami. And I've seen that all year from them, which is really weird to me. So I don't know, if you don't have Brady, do you need to go out and get all of those weapons? And then I don't know who they would go out and get, just speaking ahead of time next year. I don't know.
And it's not what that team does.
I've talked with a lot of fans about it. It's just, it's a little disheartening to talk about, because you want to.
We can tell.
He's been,
Yeah, that's we don't want to do that. So let's wrap it up here. We need to see how you think this game's gonna go. Give me a prediction. I now I kind of feel bad asking you, but how do you think this game works out? And what do you got for a final score?
I think that if I'm going to predict New England to win, because I don't want to be.
Hey, we've talked.
I don't want to be that much of a jackass. I don't want I don't want Patriots fans to be on me about it.
We've talked to, I think
New England 21-17. But for that to happen, I think that you're going to have, Mac not turn the ball over. And the biggest thing that New England's going to have to do against Buffalo is they're going to have to get pressure, because Matthew Judon has been non-existent for a month. So and I know, and I do it too. I've tweeted quite a bit about it. But every great pass rusher gets held on every other play.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
But I think that they're going to have to get after it. They've got to pressure Allen. They cannot turn the ball over. And they've got not a fast start, but just you can't have a slow start in this game. If Buffalo jumps out to a 10-0 lead, it's over. It is what it is, unless you have something fluky happen like a fumble six or a pick six that can, put them back in it. The weather will help. The weather will balance it out. I think that'll kind of be in New England's favor a little bit, but it still kind of rests on Mac, and that's tough because Mac's a rookie. A lot of people want Mac. They wanted after the first. I think we got to week 6. Everybody was like, Mac's going to throw for 5,000 yards and 48 touchdowns, but I think that's just the way they're built. It's going to be the way they're going to have to play, to beat Buffalo.
He's growing. I think he'll be okay eventually, but rookie quarterback playoffs. That's what they say. I don't know. We'll see. All right, man. We appreciate you taking a little time to talk to us tonight. If your Patriots pull it off, man, we'll be trying to sneak into your DMs again and see if we can get you to talk again next week. Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's probably going to be a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde type thing. If we beat Buffalo and you have me back on, I'm probably going to, oh my God, man. It'll be unbelievable. But no, I think that it'll be a good game. I do. Oh man, it's just there's a lot. I think a lot of New England fans are kind of feeling the pressure here. If it's an ass whipping, we're gonna have to have a lot of questions to answer. So, indeed. All right, man. We'll let you go. We appreciate you taking a little time to talk to us tonight. Yes, sir. I appreciate you guys. Thanks for having me on. Yeah, have a good one, man. All right, that's one. We're gonna flip on over. You know who we got coming up. We got to talk to Bills fan Matt.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm sure he's hyped. We'll get him on the phone. Let's go. All right, so we're talking Bills. We know how this works, guys, and it's I put it on the it's like it's highlighted on the spreadsheet. Like we get through all this, we got to talk to Matt. So I don't know if that makes you feel good about yourself or if you think I'm kissing your ass, whatever. But hey, Bills fan Matt is back representing. Sir, how's it going? Tell me some things.
It is going fantastic. The Buffalo Bills defense is the best in the league. That's statistical. That's not even me blowing smoke up your ass. That's just facts.
Yeah, I've heard.
Best defense in the league. Ever since we got the offensive line fully healthy a couple of games ago, everything's been clicking for us. Run game is there. The pass protection is great. We have had 3 straight games where Josh Allen has not been sacked a single time. That's facts. Yeah. You can Google that. You can NFL.com/stats that. And so it is a good time to be me. It is a good time to be Bills fans. It is a good time to be Bills Mafia. It's just a good time to be from Western New York in a general sense.
Yeah, see, there you go. It's always a good time to be Bills Mafia. I mean, I was Bills Mafia for an afternoon. And
it's never not a good time.
It was always a good time.
There's some truth.
Matt, you're talking about how good the last few games have gone for this team.
Yeah.
There was a little shaky moment there mid-season where kind of looking around and New England's creeping up on them. And
didn't just creep up. They took the division lead for a couple weeks.
Yeah.
Let's not sugarcoat that.
Yeah. Was there ever any worry at that point in your mind of this team in the playoffs and where they were going to go?
Here's the thing. Any worry that I might have had about the Patriots specifically, I could just take a real quick look at their games against the Dolphins, who, if you'll remember correctly, we beat soundly twice, including one shutout. And then I look to see how the Patriots did against the Dolphins. And I look at it and I say, opponents. All right, cool. That again, facts are backing me up there. I get to go and I get to look at the rest of the NFL. Because that's the thing, guys. Who do you trust? If you want to say, they haven't been consistent all season, who in the world has?
No,
I watched the Packers get blown out by the Saints week 1. I saw the Cardinals lose to the Lions. I saw the Saints shut out the Tampa Bay Buccaneers past the midpoint of the season. Who do you trust? Absolutely no one. But who do you have faith in? Our Lord and Savior, Josh Allen.
Yeah.
So, Jam, I can answer your question real quick. I don't know if it's come up on the podcast recently, but the reason that the Bills are where they are and didn't, one seed and all of that is because I, in fact, bet them to have the best record in the
it's
NFL this
Casey's fault.
season. So I guess I should apologize for that now, Matt. It wasn't a reverse jinx bet. Looking at the schedule, I really thought that was going to be how it went.
We all had a lot of thoughts at the beginning of the
It's
year.
true.
But
It's very true.
The one thought that I actually documented was on this show in the season preview, where I said the Buffalo Bills were going to win the division. Yep. And I got to be honest with you, I'm looking around and I'm feeling pretty darn good about myself when it comes to that particular area of my life.
You nailed that one, sir. So let's talk about the matchup here. As we've already discussed, I think we sort of throw that first matchup out and you'd probably be the first to go, yeah, let's do that. You just sort of throw that out, right? Like the wind, we can't really glean anything
You've
from that matchup.
You've never seen another game like that, so that game really didn't mean much.
Here's the thing: the second that you decide to take a single game in the NFL and you decide I can't learn anything from that is the second you've lost. There's absolutely things we can learn from that. We can learn about situational football from one of the great minds in it, Bill Belichick. Sorry.
You really do got a cold, don't you?
We can learn. I'll tell you what, man, it's tough. It's a tough life for me.
I appreciate you taking time for us, man.
Yeah, absolutely. But, we can learn about weaknesses in the Bills' run game. There has been some weak points in the Bills' run game. But at the same time, there's also other things we can learn is that the only way that the Patriots can beat us is if they decide to take the ball out of Mac Jones's hands. And the powers that be who drafted this guy are way too prideful to do that, which is what happened, which is what we saw with our second matchup against the Patriots. And they tried to beat us through the air and didn't go well. So that's what we learned. Those are the things we gleaned. Those are the things we learned. And we also learned that reporters probably shouldn't insult our players in press conferences, but that's a discussion for a different time.
It was a question, I suppose.
That is factual. It was a question. You are not wrong in that.
It's the best I got.
You're not wrong in that.
Best I can do. So you alluded to it there with the running situation, and I gotta ask, do you anticipate coming into this postseason that they're just sort of gonna let Josh Allen be Josh Allen? I don't know. Like, I think that, tell me if I'm wrong, that this team maybe didn't want, and rightfully so, you don't want your quarterback out there getting hurt because that really takes out the season for a lot of NFL teams. Do you think that they sort of were like, oh, if we don't have to, we don't want to with the run game with Josh Allen, but going into the playoffs here, do you think it's just sort of open season and we will we're going, obviously you're going for it, but that, put it on his shoulders and just let him be the leading rusher all the time?
I don't know that all the time. I don't think he's been our leading rusher the last 2 weeks. Somebody else who has a computer in front of them to fact check that for me, because Singletary had 110 and then 88 the last 2 weeks, with averaging over 4.5 yards per carry in both of those. So I don't think we have to, have him be our main rusher by any means. But we do know from past interviews and past discussions with Josh Allen, with Brian Daboll, with the other minds that are in that room, that Josh Allen, especially if you get him running the ball a little bit earlier, it really settles him down. It settles him down. It kind of lets him get a feel for the game, lets him settle into the day, settle into the speed of, the NFL. And so I don't think we'll see him necessarily be designed to be the number one rusher on our team, but I definitely think that you will see it, especially early on in games, just to kind of get him into the flow, into game speed, and settle him down a little bit. And the other thing is it keeps linebackers real honest, because that guy will not only run on you, you give him the slightest opportunity, he'll embarrass you. He doesn't care if you are a perennial Pro Bowler, Anthony Barr. He will run straight at you and jump over you. He's hurdled 2 guys this year. He'd love to go 3 for 3. That would be the highlight of his season. So I think that, that ability to keep linebackers and others honest, you take a guy out of coverage because he has to be a QB spy, well, all of a sudden you're going to have Josh Allen throwing dimes to whoever you left open by doing that, whoever you left in single coverage. Do you want Stephon Diggs in single coverage? I don't. Do you want Cole Beasley in single coverage? If I'm the defense, I don't. Do you want Emmanuel Sanders, Dawson Knox? Do you want Devin Singletary in single coverage? No, all of those guys in single coverage are able to get open, are able to catch the ball, and are able to make a little bit of a move after they catch the ball. And so you don't want to have to thin out your defense. But if Josh Allen is going to torch you for 20 yards a run on the ground, golly, what other choice do you have?
Yeah, it's a conundrum. What do you do defensively? Bill Belichick's pretty good at scheming up things and trying to figure something out, but who do you take away out of all of that? He takes away your best player, but the depth, and you rattled off the receivers core, and I love Dawson Knox on this team. I think he's played very well this season, and he's had a couple multiple touchdown games. When Josh Allen and him are connecting, it's money.
See, here's the thing, is you say, oh, he takes away your best player, but our best player can change week to week. The last time we played the Patriots, had anybody else outside of Bills Mafia even heard the name Isaiah McKenzie? I saw a whole lot on Twitter and stuff. I saw a lot of people. Who is this guy? Who's Isaiah McKenzie? What is he? How in the world has he gone for 11 receptions for 125 yards and a touchdown? Feel free to take away our best weapon. That's fine because we got so many others. Yeah, Josh Allen, I would make the argument. I would make an argument that Josh Allen is our best player. And again, last time we played the Patriots, he threw for 314 yards and 3 touchdowns. That's taking him away. I'd hate to see what happens when he gets loose. I'd hate to see it. Oh, it would make me embarrassed for you.
Yeah, you get secondhand embarrassment there.
If that is taking away my best player, then I will gladly fall on that sword in the Patriots in the playoffs, because if Josh Allen puts up 314 yards and 3 touchdowns, I feel pretty dang good about our chances.
Yeah, that's
as well you should,
yeah,
sir.
And that's sort of the recipe here. This Bills offense, like you said, when they decide to let loose and uncork it, and now is the time that they're going to have – not that they have to, but now's the time you want to. It's playoffs. It's that whole –
Well, there's nothing they like better than to embarrass the Patriots in the playoffs, right?
Well, I mean, you don't need to say that in the playoffs part, but no. Here's the thing: I would love to play the Patriots every single week in the playoffs. That would be a dream scenario for me. Getting to thump them. I don't care whose house we're in. Golly, we can go back to Old War Memorial Stadium. I don't give a rat's behind. I would love that, but the ultimate goal: we've reached all the other milestones. We were able to get to the playoffs with Josh Allen in 2019. And there is something to be said. This is something I believe. This is something I'm not going to put on anybody else. But there's something that I believe, and it's about peaking. Team sports are very streaky a lot of the times. And the teams that are able to go and win everything, and the teams that are able to go and get championships, get Super Bowls, World Series titles, and all those other things, are teams that are able to manage their peaks. You look last season at the Arizona Cardinals. They had a Hail Mary against us that DeAndre Hopkins straight mossed 3 guys, 3 Pro Bowlers and 1 All-Pro in our defense. Absolutely mossed them to come down with that touchdown and to win the game. They were at that point, I believe they were 7-3 after that win. They finished 8-8 because that was their peak. For us in 2019, we made the playoffs with Josh Allen. And then we lost in frustrating fashion to the Texans because we were so focused on getting to the playoffs. We let that be our peak. Mm-hmm. Last year, we wanted to win the division. And we wanted to, be championship caliber. We wanted to show that we could show up in a championship game. We won our division. We got to a championship game. We got to the AFC championship game. And then we didn't play as well as we should have. The coaching wasn't what it should have been. So I think this team, the chance that they have is all about being able to manage their peaks. And the only peak that this team has left to accomplish is winning that Super Bowl. And so I think that is going to help them. I'm not guaranteeing a Super Bowl or anything. Anything. We learned that this past week watching the Colts. Anything can happen any given Sunday. There are no guarantees. But being able to manage those peaks, being able to set those expectations the way they need to be set, so that way you don't have any finality in your head until you're actually done, I think is really important. And I think that's a lesson that we have learned over the last couple of years, and I think it's going to serve us really well in this postseason.
So I didn't ask you off the top, and I should have, because you also fell into this weird equation. Was there a world on Sunday night when the world is watching that the Raiders Chargers game, and I mean most of the world rooting for a tie because that's just funny, right? But your team is one of the teams that would have been affected by the outcome of that game, right? Did you find yourself, because that's generally how it works, right? When you're forced into a decision, or all of a sudden it's just there, you find within yourself how you actually feel about something. Did you find yourself rooting one way or another for that game to finish out?
I did have a rooting interest, but it had nothing to do with the Bills. I just wanted to see the chaos of a tie.
Well, yeah.
I wanted to see the chaos of the Raiders being stopped on third down, deciding it's not worth risking, this 57, 58-yarder, which Carlson could make.
Yeah,
and just deciding to knee it out, just letting the clock run. That's what I was rooting for, just the chaos vote, because the amount of time that the conspiracy theories would rage
for sure
around that
for sure
would outlast everyone on this phone call and everyone listening to this podcast in perpetuity. Like they would go for so long. So I was just rooting for the chaos of it all. I was rooting for the tie because, like I said, I legitimately, especially like the last couple of weeks with a healthy offensive line, shout out Rick Bates coming out of nowhere to help solidify the left side. We've seen that I still legitimately feel that we can go toe to toe with anyone. And this is also a team that, we've lost some close games this year, but don't forget in the week, I believe it was 12 game against the Buccaneers, we were down like 25, 26 points at halftime. And we took the defending Super Bowl champions to overtime. So I like our chances against anyone, regardless of where we are in game situation. But as far as the Sunday night game, I was just rooting for chaos. I was just rooting for them to take that last knee. Or what would have been great is if Derek Carr, right before that field goal, he's standing by the ref waiting to call timeout with 2 seconds left. I would have loved it if he had just watched the clock run all the way out and then been like, all right, have a good one. And then just like walked away like that. Oh,
you got to do the finger guns.
The ref is all confused. Yeah. Have a good one, buddy. See you in the playoffs. Yeah. The other thing, and I've got to get off on this tangent because you introduced it.
I know. I should have known better with you.
Here's the thing that I didn't see discussed a lot. The Raiders and Chargers are division rivals. They've been in the same division for 20 plus years now. These two teams have, they may not have the baddest blood, but there's some bad blood there. This is a division rival. This is a team you see twice a year. You, just as much as you want to get into the playoffs, you want to keep your division rival out of the playoffs. You want to have something, you want to twist that knife a little bit in them. So I think there was motivation there that a lot of the public wasn't really paying attention to. It wasn't really giving thought to because, it didn't make for as fun of a story. But, that's your division rival over there. You got to see those guys twice a year. Let's just get rid of them now. Let's make their suffering worse. Why not? Anytime I would be in the same position as a Bills fan, I could take the Patriots or the Dolphins or the Jets out. I would do it in a heartbeat because that's my division rival over there. So I think that was something that I didn't feel like got talked about a lot.
Yeah. But
I feel like it played a part.
Well, they also didn't want to go see a team that's beat them by 85 points this season. It's not ideal. Not ideal. Not ideal, as it were. All right, Matt. Let's. It's official prediction time. Let's get it from you. What do you got going on here? What do you think the final score is going to be? I have to ask it just because it's the format of the question. Will we be talking to you next week?
Yes, 1,000%. I absolutely believe that we are.
I haven't had to make any predictions yet, but I 100% agree with you.
Yeah, I think that this is a team that not only can we beat, but we know how to beat. We know how to beat. We lost by 4 in that crazy wind game that you referenced earlier, and we were the only team able to actually throw the ball in that game. We had, one big run that we gave up, and we're able to hold them off for the most part the rest of that game. This past time we saw them, we beat them by 13 in their house in a game that was deciding the division title. So we've already played them once. Not only have we already played them twice, one of those times something pretty significant was on the line, and we saw which team showed up, and we saw which team dominated a good chunk of that game. And so I think that there's a very good chance that the same thing happens. I am not predicting a 2-score win by any means. I think that Belichick absolutely knows how to prepare his guys, knows how to get their minds in the right place, knows how to get their soul in the right place to play playoff football. But also the last time we saw Belichick in the playoffs, he lost by 1 point to the Titans by having his quote-unquote Hall of Fame quarterback throw a pick 6 in the final seconds. That was Tom, I forget his last name, some other quarterback for the last few years. But, so just because he's been there, just because he's seen this before, doesn't mean that there's any guarantees on there. And I think Bills win by 7.
All right. I don't disagree. I think the Bills win, and I think the Bills cover, but I don't have to officially put that on the record until Friday. So,
A lot can happen between now and then.
And between me and you by Friday, I mean here in about an hour when we record the podcast for Friday.
Fourth wall, Casey.
All right, man. We go ahead.
There are no walls.
No.
There are no walls. Fourth wall doesn't matter. Talk to the people.
We give it up.
Kayfabe's dead.
We let it go. All right, man. We appreciate you taking a little time with us, and I anticipate talking to you again next week.
Absolutely. You guys know my number.
Absolutely.
How are the wings, though, before you go?
Oh, man.
Oh, my goodness. They were amazing. I sold out in 2 hours. I literally was just back to back to back with those wings to the point where Becky, the bartender I was working with at the Fremont, she said she wants to get me in there as a regular. We're thinking like the third Tuesday of every month or something like that.
Man.
So you guys have not lost out on your opportunity.
If that happens, we're around because I'm all about
Not only is that happening, but I just today bought a new commercial grade deep fryer that'll triple my capacity so I can get the wings out even faster. So I'll be looking for you boys next time.
That's gonna happen.
We get it set up, and it's our recording schedule allows. We will absolutely be there. So appreciate you, Matt. We'll probably talk at you next week, I imagine.
All right, sounds good, brothers. Y'all have a good one.
Take it easy, sir.
Later, buddy.
All right, always a good time talking to Matt. Matt, DC. This video should hopefully get some click.
Yeah, it's a good
low key. If you
content.
don't normally listen to us, I hope you had a good time. Hope you understand that this is it's probably a little closer to our normal than.
And it's just so funny to see how opposite ends of the spectrum these two guys were as far as optimism goes there. So, I mean, maybe it's just a New England thing. Like, we're not technically number 1 seed. We're not Super Bowl favorites. So it's just whatever. I don't even care anymore.
Yeah, we'll. I don't know. We'll see. I got my feeling for this game as we alluded to talking to Matt there. I definitely think this is one of the games that I feel good about picking. But crazier things have happened, guys. As Matt pointed out, the fucking Colts lost to the Jags, guys. Like
I didn't want to rub it in his face.
Bills lost to
the Jags too.
Yeah,
so.
you're not wrong. So we'll see. But we're gonna call it an episode here. We're gonna come back. Find one of these you haven't listened to. There's all of them. There's 6 of them. We've talked to all 12 a fan from all 12 teams. Talked about every game. Got some predictions from the fans. It's been pretty good. No fan is as we're recording this.
As of this recording, we've got one left, and I'm a little worried.
We're going fair point. All right. So until the next video, until the next podcast, whenever it is you guys are listening to us next, hopefully it's soon though. This has been Just Another Football Show.
Bye. Man, I need some wings.
All in their places.